If you don't succeed at first, dust yourself off and try again. I bet these are the guiding words of one of Nigeria's political juggernauts in recent times, inspired by the famous Aliyah. After contesting unsuccessfully for president of Nigeria 6 times, that is in 1993, 2007, 2011, 2015, 2019, and 2023, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is prepared to try again. This was made known by the spokesperson for the Presidential Campaign Organization of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in 2023, Daniel Bwala.
Now, in a swifter reaction, the ruling party, the APC, has laughed at the intentions of the former vice president's 2027 ambition, stating that he will be defeated again for the 7th time. Atiku Abubakar had, of course, hinted that he was not retiring from politics and pledged his readiness to continue to shape the democratic discourse. Now, let's look into this. We have joining us in the studio this morning, the 2023 Labour Party House of Rep candidate for Alimosho constituency. He's a media practitioner and a political commentator, Mr. Ife Salako. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, good morning.
Good to have you.
Yeah.
I don't think this is really shocking.
It is shocking to some. Some people had expected that by now.
Well,
maybe he would have taken a
Nigerian
back
politicians
and pushed some other
absolutely
person.
unrepentant. So if you find anything they do now shocking, maybe you just got into this country,
But let's talk about Atiku Abubakar. We're going to talk about Labour Party at some point. But let's talk about Atiku Abubakar as a candidate, as a person. He has been running since 1993. Can we see this still as a very, very strong desire to save Nigeria and fix our dear country? Or is this, just a personal thing?
So first of all, I actually ran for Federal House of Rep on the platform of the YPP, but right after the election, I left the party for various reasons for the Labour Party. So I was not a candidate on the Labour Party. I was a candidate on the YPP. So I just wanted to connect that. And then coming to Atiku, like I said, it is no longer about being patriotic anymore. It is absolutely another version of Emiloko. That's what it is now, because there is a level at which you want something, and then you get to a point, you realize that, no, just let me stay back and let other people get this thing done, because the reality of it is that not one man can actually fix all the problems, the country is facing at the time. So for me, I think Atiku would still consider to run in 2027, and I know he would lose, and then he will still run in 2031.
Wow.
Unfortunately, so because there's nothing else for him to do. You've been a vice president of this same country, and that was a golden moment for you to prove actually that you can be the president of Nigeria, and it was a colossal failure. Your immediate boss wrote a book, that's actually, said a lot about your personality and even the office you held at the time. The book is still there. On different occasions, we've heard that the president himself, the president of Osarogie, openly called him a thief. So is this what you want to bring to the presidency? This same man that was in charge of national wealth, and then you were the one selling, different, what are they called now, to your people. So
that could be, disputed, it wasn't.
Oh, yeah, it could be disputed, but when you dispute these kind of things, when this news, this information come into the public circle in Nigeria, we know that, a lot of times they turn out to be true. But then you would not want to come out and say, yes, I did this or that. But what are the antecedents of Atiku as a person and as the vice president, which is the highest office that he has held in the country, to say that it is a must for him to be the president of Nigeria? Come on. By 2027, it's going to be 81?
About 81 years.
So let's talk about the strength and the influence of the People's Democratic Party, especially in recent times, because a number of people have been wondering what exactly is going on with the People's Democratic Party. The papers yesterday reported that they haven't had the Executive Council meeting in about 6 months. it seems that there is division going on in different
16
parties.
months, actually.
16 months. Oh, okay. Thank you for that. And then there's conversation as to why Nyesom Wike, who is allegedly still a member of the People's Democratic Party, has not yet been sanctioned for what some people refer to as anti-party activities. So what exactly is going on with the PDP? How would you say, how would you rate the influence and the popularity of the PDP today?
I mean, the PDP apparently has become an extended version of the ruling party, or the ruling party is an extended version of the PDP. They are parties who lack absolute ideology, political pathway, and they are disconnected from the people. You see, when you run a party that is based on just the party system, and what I mean by that is you're running a party that has nothing to connect to the people, to say there is this pathway that we want to go as a party. And if you're running on the platform of the PDP, you must be able to do this, you must be able to do that, you must be able to do this. And when all these are not there, you just become a group of people who are seeking power at different points in time. And PDP right now has lost it. The only single factor, and I will say this, maybe in favor of Atiku, the only single factor that is still holding the party together is still the same man, Atiku. Pull Atiku out of PDP and look at it. It is empty. No other person we can talk of now in that party that say, if this person comes out from PDP, it's going to really make a lot of influence. No.
Nyesom Wike?
Nyesom Wike. Is Nyesom Wike in PDP? Right now. I mean, is he still a PDP member?
No,
I mean, it's still a card-carrying member of the PDP.
It's still there's still birds of same feather, as it were. We know very well that the party has lost its hold on the political space in Nigeria. What they have left is just the scratch of whatever they can use money to push here and there. The convention where they usually take their, the presidential candidate and all the other, it is dollar-driven, we know. So whoever is not strong enough financially cannot even do anything in these parties. And that is what happens in the APC too. So when all of these are happening, then they've lost it. They cannot hold anything. In Lagos, in the last election, PDP was struggling with 70,000 votes in the whole of Lagos. That says a lot. This party is obsolete. They are just there. Everybody in that party now. I mean, say from the fact that some are still coming from 1999, and then the growth because they were able to, hold some positions up to now. And so it gives them that leverage. So we're still in PDP, we're still holding. But as a party itself, it has lost the essence of what they are meant to be and what they are meant to serve the people. So really, PDP is just out of the game when it comes to,
maybe that's also what brought about the arguments when the Labour Party candidate Peter Obi mentioned that Labour Party was going to take on the role as being Nigeria's main opposition party, and flustered a lot of feathers. But good time to bring in Peter Obi into the conversation. You've mentioned that if Atiku Abubakar pulls out of the PDP, party will crumble. There's also arguments like that with Labour Party, and of course, that if Peter Obi for any reason decides to move, Labour Party is gone. There's nothing left, to hold on to. Labour Party, which you're currently a member.
I still talked about it yesterday. See, political parties are quite ephemeral. Like, it's a body that owes people. The people really control the party. The party necessarily don't really control the people. And I will explain what I mean. Especially in Nigeria. I mean, it may be different in other countries, but in Nigeria, that's what it is, and that's where we are right now. And of course, in other places too. So parties are being driven by the people. The APC today, the APC as it were today, it was as a function of two people, Buhari and Tinubu. And Tinubu himself, coming from where he was coming from the SDP, having left the party to AD, he left AD crashed. He left AC crashed. He left ACN is no more.
But is that something to be applauded?
No, I mean, not necessarily. But it is the reality of what it is. Influence of people drives the party. If not for the influence of Peter Obi in the last election, there is no way in this world a Labour Party would have gotten 6 million votes. It is absolutely impossible. Let's not deceive ourselves. Let's be realistic. So if Peter Obi pulls out of the Labour Party today, right, there is likelihood that it's going to really affect the party in a very, very major way. So I agree with you. It is about the people, really. People did not vote for APC in the last election. The ones that voted, they voted for Tinubu. People did not vote for PDP. The ones that voted, they voted for Atiku. As much as you would know that people did not vote for Labour Party as it were, but they voted for Peter Obi. The only good thing about that is that some other candidates, the House of Rep candidates, the Senate, and others, they were able to now benefit from the what Peter Obi brought to the party. So people in South Africa, one of the biggest party today is I think EFF.
Okay,
ANC.
you're talking about ANC.
Oh, EFF.
Okay.
Yeah, you know,
like the strongest opposition.
and it's driven by Julius Malema. If that guy pulls out of that, in fact, he founded it, and he's driving it. If by some sort of situation, miracle, he decides to say, today I am no longer part of the EFF, the way he will say it is in South Africa, that it will die natural death. People drive party.
Okay. Now that you've mentioned people driving parties and saying that it's not necessarily the best way, but that it is what it is.
Yeah.
Talk to us about the Labour Party and what exactly is going on with the Labour Party. There have also been rumors about Labour Party being a house divided within itself that cannot stand.
Well, I mean, those kind of talks will always come. I think Peter Obi was even generous when he said that the Labour Party is going to be. I believe strongly that the Labour Party is the only opposition in Nigeria right now, because I mean, like I maintain, and there's nobody can even argue that with me. If you like, say it. I mean, the fact is that the PDP and the APC is the same thing now. There is no difference, right? But what is different about the Labour Party for now is the fact that there is still some sort of sanity within the operations of the party, right? There is still some sort of, arrangements that would follow laws, the rules, the regulations. This is what is different about the Labour Party at the moment. And so when we talk about Nigeria, which party is there that talking about why is this thing happening now? Whether online or offline, it is the Labour Party that are angry about the situation because they know that, we have a candidate, or we had a candidate at the election that we know could have done better than what we're facing in the country today. I mean, in 7 months, we know we're like one of the poorest countries in the world, having the poorest people, in the world. But then we have added more within 7 months, unmitigated hardship brought in by this government. And you cannot even take that away. And while we're still at that, there is still the issue of insecurity going out of the windows. There is the issue of food insecurity. And that is a major for me. And see, the food thing, I was talking to someone yesterday, and I said, look, Nigeria is really in a major problem. We're facing major food security. The price of food, the inflation of food is the highest ever now. And this is if there is war, people are dying. They are shooting God. When they finish shooting God, they will still want to eat. Yeah. It doesn't matter whatever the situation of the country is. Food must be taken seriously. And this particular government doesn't seem to care. They don't even, it's just like a group of people who wanted something by force, by fire, and now they have it, they don't know what to do with it. That's so coming to the Labour Party, as they said, the Labour Party is fine, well and good. Out of 12 disciples of Jesus, there was one Judas. Labour Party has thousands and millions of people. We would have internal problem. It is inevitable. But what would be the caveat is that there is still some sort of sanity. There is a rule. There is order that we are following. As it were, the leader of the party in person of Peter Obi right now He's in charge of the party. He is very involved in the structure, making things are working at the grassroots, getting to know what is going on and solving all these issues. So we will be fine.
Just to quickly mention also the discussions in the last 24 hours of petrol, selling for 1,200 naira per liter. And add that to the food inflation and inflation across the country. It's not good times at all. But maybe also a good time. Now you've spoken about Peter Obi. Would you advise? Do you have any idea if he will be running in 2027? And would you advise that he does?
If he's not running, we will carry placard and go to the front of his house and beg him to run.
But I've seen people argue and say that they don't think he should bother himself.
Why?
Mostly because there's a couple of people who have lost faith in the system, the leadership recruitment system, from INEC itself to security agencies to the courts, and all of that. And I've seen a lot of people say that, Nigeria doesn't, deserve, from what they say, Nigeria doesn't deserve Peter Obi. And, him running is, really just going through that process again, with the fears of being disappointed once again by INEC, disappointed by the courts and everybody. So,
I keep telling people that until you see this country as your personal company, that's when you would know how to make the right decision. So, for example, if Nigeria is your company, and these people that we're employing are managers to manage the company for you, right? And then you have tried to employ this person, and probably a firm that gave you this person gave you, the wrong person. And then you will say, oh, because they gave me one wrong manager, I'm not going to look for another manager. You have to keep looking for the right person. You can't stop. Yeah, right. The system will always be the system.
Yeah, well.
So if the system, and again, I would say that the system is not the same thing that it was in 2011. It's not the same thing that it was in 2015. It's not the same thing that it is in, it was in 2019. And it's not the same thing in 2023. There's been some sort of improvement. There's never been a third party, a third force in our election. For the first time, we had it in 2023.
Well, now let's talk about the possibility of a very strong opposition. There are people who argue that the reason that the current administration is in power is because we had several people who could not put aside their selfish interests to form one strong opposition. Is this a position you agree with? If yes, do you foresee that may be an option to plow in 2027?
So in this argument, it's always, it depends on where you are seeing it from, right? Yes, because the APC and the ANPC, or Bwala's party at the time, because they merged and they were able to, win PDP, it doesn't mean that it will work at every time, right? That is one. Yes, if you merge, you can have more people on your side, fine. But the reality of it is that, I just mentioned something now, for the first time, in counting our election in Nigeria, when you have the winner, 10 million votes, you have the second runner, or the first runner, 8 million votes. And then the next one will be 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, 2, 1. That's how it's always been. For the first time, we have an election that the figures are not far from each other.
And I agree with you. But what we're saying is, if Peter Obi's followers and the party were to unite with Kwankwaso and his followers, and to unite with Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and his followers to form a single opposition, do you think that would have been a great option to take? And do you think that that's something that can be explored in 2027? Absolutely.
It would. If these three people decide to come together in 2023, right, and form an alliance, it will go a long way.
But will they be willing, though? Because it seems like everybody wants to be president.
It's obvious that they won't. If anything is going to happen, maybe Kwankwaso, because he doesn't really seem to be like he has a particular direction, hopping from APC, between APC and his own party that he formed. But then, for Atiku, it is glaring that he's a very a strong-willed man who wants to just become president by all means, because if not, by now, Atiku should be standing and calling Peter Obi, my brother, come. Oh yeah, come and do this thing.
What of those who would argue that Peter Obi could also have done the same thing?
Yeah.
That he could have called Atiku
and said, like to run as vice president
aligned forces with you.
Oh, of course, they would say that, but you cannot compare the antecedent of Peter Obi to the antecedent of Atiku Abubakar.
We're looking for quality leadership, not antecedents.
We're looking
for quality leadership, not antecedents.
Your antecedent will determine what your style of leadership and your form of leadership will take. Who were you? Yeah. Why did you think I supported Peter Obi? For one thing, I'll tell you one reason, right? Because Peter Obi is the only governor in Nigeria that has been given a budget to renovate his governor's lodge to the tune of 480-something million. And he refused and cut it down to about 40 million. And they still did the same thing that they could have done with 480 million. What that tells me is that this single man, when he gets to the, federal level, is going to cut down on cost of governance.
Well,
that's the thing. So if you take that from me, show me one other politician amongst all of these people who is ready to do that. This one president? Then. Who?
President.
Which one?
Bwala.
Don't even go there, please.
Thank you so much, Professor Salako, for joining us. It's been quite the conversation we've had this morning. More angles we looked at. Let us know your thoughts. Do you think that all the parties should maybe unite to form a strong opposition, or do you think they do not stand a chance to the almighty All Progressives Congress? Let us know on Twitter at News Central TV. Absolutely. All right.
Mr. Salako, once again, thank you very much for stopping by.
Thank you.
All right. So many conversations we've had, and more to come in the next hour right after this break.